Welcome back. House Republicans passed the framework for Reconciliation 3.0 last night. Committees can now begin working on the planned $95 billion package. House Republicans still need to work closely with the Senate to eventually pass the budget resolution. But new Senate Budget Committee Chairman Ron Johnson was on with me here yesterday, and here's what he said about the process. Watch.
I am happy to work with the majority leader to pay for all of it. Spoke with the budget chair, Jody Arrington. He's given me a pretty long list of pay fors as well. So again, we'll take the House lead. They've got to pass what they can pass. But I'm happy to work with the budget committee. That'll be my first task, is make sure we can pass it through something through the budget committee, get their support, and then work with the conference team in terms of what's doable. Let's face it, politics is the art of achieving what's possible. I'm in the role now to try and achieve what's possible.
And joining me now is Texas Congressman Jody Arrington. He is the chairman of the Budget House Committee. Mr. Chairman, great to have you. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning, Maria. Great to be with you.
Well, you got your work done just in the nick of time. Congratulations. But I'm just still perplexed at why you weren't able to put any offsets in this budget bill. We know that we're spending above our means. Ron Johnson has been talking about getting us back to pre-COVID spending for years now. Do you think you'll be able to get this across the finish line in the Senate?
I do. If we don't have the leadership of the Senate tie this up with waiting for the continuing resolution, that's continuing resolutions are negotiated for a 60 vote threshold. That means we have to get Democrat, permission, essentially. This is a unilateral Republican exercise and a generational opportunity for election integrity reform, along with getting our troops the money they need to continue the fight and come home safely. So the answer on the offsets is the scope of this is no longer modernization and these big plays in the tax code on affordability. It is emergency funding for our troops and election integrity. And we're 100 days from the election. We're not in the 100-day honeymoon when we delivered historic tax and spending cuts, or when we broke obstruction by the Democrats to fund Homeland Security. Now we've got 100 days left. The Senate is the place, and Ron Johnson is the guy to work on those pay-fors, because the Senate Finance Committee is where that will be meted out, and the endless amendment vote-a-rama could put at risk the reforms that we had in the big, beautiful bill if we don't do it right. Ron Johnson knows how to thread that needle. He is a quintessential budget hawk. I've got confidence in him, but our Republican colleagues in the Senate need to move with urgency to deliver on what we said we'd do for the American people who gave us unified Republican leadership.
Of course. And you also were able to get the Save America Act in there. And that's another issue that the Senate has been wrangling with. Are you worried that the parliamentarian looks at this and says, no, because you don't have enough spending cuts here? After all, the House Freedom Caucus sent a letter to the Speaker months ago saying that any Reconciliation 3.0 must include strict dollar-for-dollar and year-for-year spending cuts to restore fiscal sanity.
Well, I have confidence that we will have the SAVE Act in some measure. It has to be a budget exercise. That's part of the Byrd Rule, and those are the parameters that guide budget reconciliation. Democrats were able to do that with sweeping health care reform with Obamacare. They did it with their Green New Deal that was embedded in their Inflation Reduction Act. All those were done through reconciliation. Surely we can do that with election integrity. And I'm confident, again, we'll have that in some form. That's litigated in the Senate, and there are different ways to do that. The presiding officer of the Senate will be the Vice President, J.D. Vance. The parliamentarian, remember, advises the chair and presiding officer. They don't make the decisions, but we'll let that process play out. But absolutely, I'm confident that we'll get something, whether it's a federal preemption and mandate for states or it's an incentive grant program. Either way, we need to take a big step in restoring confidence in our elections in this country.
Well, great move that you were actually able to address the needs of the Defense Department, the Department of War. The money for defense is critical right now in the middle of a war. So, Congressman, can you walk us through what strikes you the most in this Reconciliation 3.0? What should we be aware of that we may not be?
Well, I think people need to understand that we have been dealing with unprecedented Democrat obstruction. And I don't mean to make this just a partisan statement. The facts bear that out. 2 shutdowns. They held Homeland Security, our Coast Guardmen, TSA agents, Border Patrol agents hostage for ridiculous and even dangerous demands that would have returned our country back to the open border chaos. So reconciliation is the tool to break that obstruction. I don't believe, Maria, that the Democrats are going to help us with a defense supplemental. Remember, if we negotiate with Democrats on a defense supplemental, the price tag is higher, and we have to eat a bunch of progressive policies. Reconciliation allows us to get just what the military needs to refuel their tank so they can finish the fight and come home safely. That is the baseline battlefield readiness we're talking about. And then in future reconciliations, 4.0, we can work with Secretary Hegseth to deliver on the bigger vision of modernizing the military and having future war readiness. This is about here and now and the need for speed, and we've got to deliver. Failure's not an option.
That's right. And you're talking about Reconciliation 4.0 for 2027, right? After the midterms.
That's right. We have another opportunity to do this on the heels of the midterm elections, and we'll be in a different place. The politics will be different, both in the House and Senate. And so, listen, let's keep the dream alive.
Yeah. All right, Congressman, we'll be watching your work. Thank you for your leadership on this budget. Great to see you this morning, Mr. Chairman.
Great to see you, too.
Thank you.
God bless.
Jody Arrington. And to you. We'll be right back. Stay with us.